Okay folks, 3 new gear sets entered the game 2 days ago, and that means we need to update our gear recommendation settings. These new sets are the following. For the left side, we have Astral Guardian, and then for the right side, we have Cataclysm, a great DPS set, and we've got Wings of Grace, the new and improved Invigoration. I should mention, I don't know why I didn't do this, Astral Guardian is the buffed up, tanky set in the game. If you do not update your gear settings, and don't worry, I will give you my new gear settings with my import code. The codes are in the description, and I will obviously share them as well in the video. But if you don't update them, you're gonna let all these new OP sets slip through the cracks because they will not be covered by the recommendation settings, so you will just mass sell them. That is a disaster. So we have, and huge shout out to Pink Jesus, who once again collaborated with me on this. We have updated all the gear recommendation settings and auto sell rules so that they accommodate the new sets and also address a couple things that we thought could be improved upon the original settings that came out last month. There's a lot to get into. However, I'm not going to break down every single rule in excruciating detail as I did in the last video. So if you want that deep dive knowledge, go check out the original video. In this one, I will do a quick overview, but mostly focus on the changes, why we made our decisions, and how these new rules are even better, even stronger, even more perfect for your account than they were last time. Let's get into it.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
So, getting right into it. There are a few important things we must address. I'll put the codes up right now. You will see I have 2 codes. I'm calling one late game and I'm calling the other mid game. So many people in the last video asked me, hey, with my special unique situation, which setting should I use? I can't answer for every single account, but I can say what I said in the last video, and I want to put it at the front of this one. If you have beaten all Gear Raid 1, 2, and 3, stage 21, then you should use the late game, end game settings. If you have not, you should use the mid game settings. These mid game, late game, end game words, they are just to delineate the different rule sets, the different gear settings. Do not stress out about it. I promise, if you are not yet efficiently farming stage 21s in Gear Raid 1, 2, and 3, the late game, end game settings are not for you. They're going to be too strict. If you are still progressing through all that stuff, please use the mid game settings. You can use the late game ones, they're just gonna be a lot stricter. There are a couple differences between the 2 settings, but the general overarching difference is how strict I'm being with the rules and what specifically we are sorting for. Second thing I really want to address, I'm gonna put the codes back up now. You will see at the end of these codes, there's an equals sign, as in the equal to the equation, that kind of sign. The 2 lines over each other. I don't know, maybe it's different in different cultures. You have to include this. This is part of the code. So many people are getting angry at me in the comments saying that I messed it up or they expired or this, that, and the other. When I go and I get you an export code, this is very much included. If I click copy, it is including the equal sign. So please, please include this. Simple as that. Finally, a lot of you DM'd me saying, hey, your rules are broken, something slipped through the cracks. They were not broken. There was one mistake, and that was with the healer left side gear, which we have fixed, and I will explain in this video. However, everyone that reached out to me was talking about gear like this. It was the left side gear that was kind of adhering to the HP defense DPS gear settings rules. If you don't want this rule, you can simply delete it. It is really that easy. What this rule is doing is it is catching DPS related HP and defense gear. The game is not allowing us to select the main stat or primary attribute for the left side gear. As you can see over here, they're including always attack and HP. So it is a catch-all that always includes all weapons and breastplates. In many places, we've made 2 rules to accommodate for this, but with HP and defense DPS gear, there's no real way to do it. So you can see with these rules, you easily can get a whirlwind piece that has defense bonus, crit damage, and attack speed on a weapon, right? And you might say the rules are broken. No, this is just the only clean way to properly catch DPS gear for HP-based heroes and defense-based heroes. If you don't want this slipping through, right? If you're not interested in this, just delete the rule. I anticipate eventually, who knows when, we will have very viable defense-based and HP-based heroes, so I'm always saving a couple really good pieces. If you don't want to do that, just don't do that. Right now, we don't really have HP-based and defense-based DPS heroes that are good and viable, so if you don't want that, just delete it. Personally, I do want it. I've included it. Even as an endgame player, these are specific pieces I'm looking for. We have the same thing over here with our right side rules. You can see HP DPS right side, HP DPS left side. These are pretty strict rules, so they should be only good DPS gear for the right side. We don't have the issues we have on the left side because they do let us select the main stat, the primary attribute. But again, if you don't want these, just delete the defense DPS right side rule and the HP DPS right side rule. Quick little note, anytime you see in my rules RS, that just means right side, just to delineate because rules cannot have the same name. Finally, when you import the rules, I thought they would fix this with this update, or I should say I hoped they would. They did not. Your rules will come back just as imported rule 17, imported rule 18. You will not get my names. Why is that? Who the heck knows? My solution is, if you want the right names, at the end of this video, once it's over, I will disappear and I will slowly scroll through all the rules for both the mid-game gear settings and the late-game, end-game gear settings, and you can follow along and rename them as you see appropriate if you want the names. Otherwise, you're gonna have to figure it out yourself, guess yourself, make up new names, whatever, or just leave them as imported rule 11. That's fine by me, it's up to you, but at the end of the video, I will slowly scroll through to accommodate you guys that do want to be able to see it and get the exact names that I used. Mamma mia, that is a lot. Let's get into it, beginning with, we're starting with the late endgame rules, then we'll do the mid-game rules. I'm doing it this way because these rules are more specific. All the mid-game rules essentially are exactly the same. They're just broader, as in we're not requiring as many specific perfect substats. They're more lenient. You will see that when we head into that. So beginning with our late game rules, the late game gear settings, you will see a lot of this stuff has not changed. Some of the rules have not changed at all. On the left side, you can see attack DPS. This is identical. Let me move myself over here. Okay, you can see HP and defense DPS. Again, if you want to delete this rule, do it. But this one has changed. What has changed? We've added Astral Guardian. So if we did not update these rules, and if you don't update your codes, if you were using my settings, now you're just gonna sell all your good Astral Guardian gear, right? So we've added that in, nothing else changed. We did add inspiration chests. I did include this last time, but I think some people missed it or didn't understand why I included it. This is a very specific thing just for inspiration heroes. So like Dolores, Constance, Beelzebub is coming soon. We've got Pharisee, we've got Dasami, Nunea. These are chests specifically that have both attack bonus and flat attack because you want your inspiration heroes to have as much attack as possible. For some of you, you might not want this because again, they do not let us select for main stats. So this means you are going to get some Calamity and Warlord weapons that are like attack bonus, flat attack, flat defense, and flat HP. Like really terrible weapons. If you don't want to have to deal with that occasional crap, mind my language, just delete this rule. However, you're gonna risk letting potentially, an amazing Warlord, gold attack bonus, gold flat attack piece. It's very unlikely, but you might let it slip through the cracks. Personally, I do not want to let it slip through the cracks. So moving along, we've got our attack healers. This is the left side gear for attack healers. Nothing has changed. We've got HP healer's weapon and HP healer's chest. This was the only broken rule in my original settings, and I do apologize. We can't do the catch-all again. It all comes down to not being able to select primary attributes, so we had to split it into two rules. I'm happy to say it is fixed now. It is perfect, so thank you very much. And thank you to the two people, I'm sorry I don't remember your names, that did reach out to me. You'll see one thing that has changed. These are HP rules, so we've now included Astral Guardian for both. So not only did we split it into two rules to accommodate the issue, we also include Astral Guardian, so it's important that you update them. We've got the tank weapon and the tank chest. We did the same thing as last time, it's in two rules. However, we've included Astral Guardian. That's very important. That is it for the left side. Let's move on to the right side. So first up, we have attack DPS right side. That's what the RS means. exactly the same as last time, except we've included Cataclysm. For a lot of heroes, Cataclysm is one of the very best DPS sets now, so it's important it is included. You can see we have 2 rules, just as we did last time for crit rate main stat. Crit rate main stat is undesirable. However, you can see these 2 rules split it into, if you have a crit rate main stat, we want these 4 perfect substats, or we want these 4 perfect substats, and they have to be on the optimal DPS sets. We're not going to ascend any crit rate mains, so they have to be on our tier 2 and tier 3 sets. Nothing has changed except, again, we've included Cataclysm because it's important and it's a new piece and it's good. Now we've got our HP DPS for right side gear. Nothing has changed except for the inclusion of Cataclysm. Same exact story for the defense DPS right side gear, just adding in Cataclysm. If we move now along to our tank pieces, these rules are unchanged. If we go now to our spammer utility rules, they are exactly the same as before, except they now include Wings of Grace. We're going to talk more about Wings of Grace later. This is a fantastic brand new set, in my opinion, the best of the new bunch. It's going to be game changing for a lot of accounts. Attack healer right side, exactly the same as last time, except again, we're including Wings of Grace now. Then we've got HP healers right side, same story, same as last time, but we're including Wings of Grace. Then we've got a brand new rule. I did make an announcement, and I also mentioned on stream that I thought people should add this rule if they wanted it, but last time I thought probably you didn't necessarily need it as an end game player or a late game player, but the more I think about it, I think most people do. If you feel you're perfectly set already on invigoration gear, maybe you could delete it and make this just a Wings of Grace. Just a Wings of Grace rule. I'm calling this WOG or WOG. You understand why, Wings of Grace. I think it's really important because if it's like a really OP piece, you don't want to miss out on that for your inspiration heroes, right? Even if you're end game, if there's an attack bonus piece, right, main stat for Wings of Grace or Invig, and it gets a flat attack subset that's like a nice gold roll, you're gonna want that. So me personally, I'm happy to accept a bit more crapola or whatever you want to call it, to make sure I don't miss out on the occasional, hopeful, really juicy piece. So this is a new rule you will see both in these rules, the late endgame rules, and already they were included in the mid-game rules, but obviously they are there still, and they've been updated to include WOG. Finally, we've got our Glacier rule. Pink Jesus does not like this rule. He's not a huge Glacier fan. There are special places for Glacier. I understand why people don't like it. It's a very clunky set, but someone like my Constance, for example, on my 150k Guild Boss 2 runs, I use her as a tank. This is only possible that she gives enough inspiration because she gets enough attack from Glacier while is still tanky enough because I have very good Glacier gear. You can see we're being very strict with the substats, but again, theoretically, some trash can slip through. You could have attack bonus, flat HP, rage regen, defense bonus, attack speed. I mean, that's not even that bad, but you get it. That's not a desirable piece late in endgame, but it's the only solution right now until they give us more customization. That is going to cover it for the late game. Let's go to the mid game settings. All right, here we are with our mid-game settings. I'm on my Epic's only free-to-play account, so I very much still need the mid-game settings here. You can see they only give us 20 rules, and because we had to catch so many special things for the mid-game, because things are broader, we actually used all 20 rules. I wanted to take this moment to encourage you guys to maybe make an official Discord suggestion on the Watcher Realms Moonton official Discord, or I don't know, make a fuss. If you're a content creator, maybe speak to this as well if you want to help me and the whole community out. We need more rules. We need like 25 rules at least. I would say 30 would be perfect. Also, they need to let us select attack main stat or HP main stat, aka selecting weapon or breastplate or both when we want to for the left side gear. It would reduce all the obscurity and make these rules so much cleaner. I can't imagine it's that hard. Moonton, I hope you're listening. Everybody else, I hope you make a little noise about it. I actually want to start with a very specific rule that we did not have in the last one, and this actually is a rule I am going to have on my main account, on my endgame account, and I'm calling it the morale/WOG rule, or the Wings of Grace and morale rule. In my opinion, at least for my account, I'm forging for the first time. These pieces are so specific and so valuable that basically, and I will show you, as long as their main stat is not a flat stat, flat attack, flat defense, flat HP, I want to keep it and sort through it myself. I don't need a specific rule. This obviously means you're gonna have a ton coming in, but also you can only get these pieces through the forge, so it's not like you're gonna have so many of them to sift through. For me personally, I think this is a valuable rule for all accounts. For the actual settings, I've chosen to only include it in the mid-game settings, but if you want late and end game, I've included it in my personal settings. I kind of encourage a lot of you to do it as well. Okay, let's go properly through the left side gear and right side gear. I'm just gonna shout out any key changes. You can see we've got the inspo chest again. It is identical. Attack DPS, same as before, except we're less strict. 2 substats instead of 3. We've included Astral Guardian now for tank. Again, less strict. We're just requiring it has defense bonus and HP bonus. Now we've got our attack-based healer. You get the pattern. We're less strict. We're looking for 2 substats here. Nothing else changed. HP healer, same story as last time with the mid game, but we're including Astral Guardian. Same thing for the healer weapon. We just had to split them up again just to be safe. And then we've got our DPS rule. If you want to delete this, you can. It's the same rule as last time, except we are including Astral Guardian. I will say we're pretty strict with this rule. This is the exact same HP defense DPS rule we have for the left side for the late game and end game settings. That is because right now there's no real heroes that need it. And even if they start adding them in, you're not gonna need many pieces, many sets. So you can still be in the mid game very picky about which pieces you want. And you can be a little stricter in what substats you're looking for. And like I said, some trash is still gonna slip through the cracks if you keep that rule. We went over the morale and Wings of Grace rule. Essentially it's saying keep all Wings of Grace and all morale as long as attack flat stat, defense flat stat, and HP flat stat are not the main stat. Now, this is where it gets interesting. A lot of these things have 2 rules on the right side. We have a big catch-all rule because you're not as set specific in what you are searching for in the mid game. So this is basically saying if we get a nice tank piece, defense bonus or HP bonus, we want perfect substats. You might be wondering what's going on here. It's saying only 3 out of these 4. Well, it's exclusionary because if it's defense bonus can't be a substat, so it's requiring these 3 substats. And then same story for the HP bonus. The HP bonus can't be a substat, so it's requiring these 3. Essentially, I'm saying in the mid game, I don't care about sets for my tanks as long as the pieces have the right stats. So we're doing a big catch-all rule. You will then see we have tank 2 right side. The purpose of this is saying, yes, I want really perfect substats in general, but also when it comes to the better sets in the game for tanks, you know, you have your supporty sets like Wings of Grace, Invigoration, and Morale, and then we have our tanky sets over here, Tempered Will, Unshaken Will, and Guardian, and then also our little HP bonus tank set with Asclepius, even though they designed that as a healing set. With these desirable sets, I'm actually super loosey-goosey with it. As long as it has one of my main stats, and then it has the other stat as the substat, I'm good to go. You'll see this a couple times. Here's another example. We have attack-based DPS right side, rule number 1. This is saying any set is fine if they have perfect, awesome attack DPS substats. However, with the top sets, I can live with just 2 of those substats, not 3. So a little less perfect, I'm willing to make that concession because these sets are very good. We move on to our defense DPS right side. This is identical to the late game rule, except it's including all the sets. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. I think you should. Same exact story for the HP DPS right side rule. Now we have our crit rules. Before we split it into if it has crit rate as a main, I want these specific 4 substats on these perfect sets, or these specific 4 substats on these perfect sets. That is for the late game and end game. In the mid game, crit is still undesirable, but it's a lot more useful. So basically we'll say, we'll take any set with a crit rate main as long as it has these 3 really good substats. And then if it's one of the really good sets, we'll take crit rate, and as long as it has attack bonus and crit damage as a substat, we can live with it. Attack healer rules, same as the late game, except we're saying set doesn't matter because you don't really care about sets for healing at this point in the game. Same thing with our spammer utility rule, same thing as the other one, except we're including all sets because sets are not as important at this point in the game. Finally, we have a much more lenient Glacier rule. Glacier is more usable in the mid game. And finally, I just had to update it, but we have the Invigoration and Wings of Grace rule for your inspiration heroes, saying if it's one of these 2 great sets for your inspiration heroes, it better have an attack bonus and then a flat attack, and then I'll sift through the rest. That is what I'm looking for. All right, folks, that's all I have for you. I thought we could end by me showing off my new Morgan that I pulled on my Epics Only account. My second Legendary Lord on this Epics Only account. It is ridiculous. Let's throw on that cinematic. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Like always, when I go this deep is a lot of work. Huge thank you to Pink Jesus for helping me collaborate with all of this. I had a very busy day yesterday, and he was an enormous help. He is my head moderator for a reason. Amazing guy. Guys, if you appreciate this, please subscribe to the channel. I'll put the codes back up on the screen right now if you still need them. Please include the equal sign. If you have any more questions, let me know in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, click all notifications, like it, comment, everything I've already said. Share it with your mother. I've been Fastidious, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Fastidious.
Baba Booey!